Hello and welcome to this video in which I would love to talk about stepping into your no shoes and starting the no dance. My name is Agakura. I'm a highly sensitive person, and as a life coach and NLP practitioner, I work with highly sensitive people. Now, the way as highly sensitive people and empaths, it can really be difficult for us to say no, and we like making things happen for others. We like pleasing, and some of us have even learned that pleasing others, at least for a certain amount of time, was also a way of gaining love. And of course, this has nothing to do with the unconditional love that we humans deserve and crave, but rather love that was bought on the condition I do this person a favor, I please, and so for a certain amount of time I will feel something that looks like love. Probably wasn't, because how many times have we experienced that this love is taken from us when we suddenly decide to no longer dance after the other person's music or just be there every time they need a favor. Now, I've also observed that most or many highly sensitive people, we will make statements, limiting statements about ourselves like, I'm just not able to say no. I think I'll never learn how to say no. I'm not able to learn how to say no. And you know what? When we say these things, we are actually limiting ourselves, and we're speaking lies about ourselves. Because here's what my guess is, and I'd like to challenge you to the thought that it's not that we're not able to learn how to say no. Because to be honest, I'm sure that if you're watching this video, you have learned things that were way more difficult than saying no, be it a skill, be it a language, whatever may come up for you. I'm sure that you've learned pretty difficult things. So when we actually say about ourselves that we're not able to say no, and we are not able to learn how to say no, or will never be able to say no, we are actually somehow getting out of the responsibility of actually admitting that we're not willing to say no, because as I've just said, we've learned things that were way more difficult. So here's the challenge. It's not that you're not able to say no. It's rather that you're probably not willing to say no for whatever reasons, maybe also the costs that may come to say, that may include, as I said before, maybe certain people not liking you anymore, not wanting you around them anymore, criticizing you, or maybe having that confrontation. So what if we just stopped conforming ourselves, being the victims in our lives and saying things like, I'm not able to say no, and just treat saying no with the same diligence and the same hard work, and just invest the same hard work into saying no, like we've invested in skills that we have acquired in the past, because that's what it is. It's something that can be learned, and like anything that can be learned, and saying no does not come easy to us highly sensitive people and not easy to us empaths, but it is possible to learn it. What if we invested the same hard work and diligence into that, and started treating it as something that has to be learned, and that's not something that should just fall into a lap. I mean, I admire that person because they're just able to say no, I can't, so that means I'll never be able. No, just say, okay, it's something that doesn't come easy, but I've learned things that were way more difficult, and I know that I can learn how to say no. And so I'd love to ask you for you to ask yourself the following questions. Am I willing to learn how to say no, no matter how hard it is and how long it will take me. Because here's what, saying yes to everyone's request often seems like the quickest solution, the quickest fix. But here's what I've come to realize. I'd rather spend my time, my precious time, figuring out and learning how to say no than spending the same amount of time doing someone a favor just because I wasn't willing to do the work and to learning how to say no. What about you? And I want you to let that really sink in, because we're talking about your precious time. And just take your time and imagine you have the choice to use this time to learn something that's really important, both for your physical and your mental health, because that's what saying no is. And would you rather use the time that you have at your disposition to learn how to learn the skill of saying no? Or would you rather invest the same time to continue doing people a favor or committing to things that are not healthy for you, be it for whatever reason, be it because you actually need to rest, or it's against your values, or you feel misused, or whatever, just because you're not willing to invest that same amount of time in figuring out how to say no? And yes, it's something that will feel awkward at the same time. But just say, okay, if it's the most difficult thing, I doubt that it's the most difficult thing that you've ever had to learn, but sometimes when we're learning something, it actually feels like this is the most difficult thing I've ever had to learn. But then do yourself a favor, roll up your sleeves and get to work and learn how to say no. It will feel awkward at first, and my no's sometimes still feel really awkward, and sometimes I'm like, oh my god, how have I just put that? Why couldn't I just get it straight out there? I've even had things of, okay, let me just try and see if I can get around that or whatever. But I'm learning, and it's just like, imagine a new pair of shoes. Even the most comfortable pair of shoes, I don't know about you, but in my case, even the most comfortable pair of shoes, they were really uncomfortable at the beginning. It's about really making them yours, walking in them on a regular basis, walking in them on a day-to-day basis. That will make those shoes your favorite shoes. My favorite shoes were not my favorite shoes from the beginning. I liked them aesthetically, but they were really uncomfortable, and until they really adjusted to my foot. So I suggest that learning how to say no is like stepping into those shoes, and that's why I call this videos stepping into your no shoes and starting the no dance. And so here's my question to you. Are you willing to start the no dance? Are you willing to become that person who is able and willing to learn how to say no for their own good, for their own sake? And if yes, then start treating saying no like a non-negotiable, something that's non-negotiable for both for your physical and your mental health, and for building the life that you desire. And yes, there will be uncomfortable moments. Maybe there will be reactions that are not pleasant, and as highly sensitive people, it's not easy to deal with those reactions. But always remember that you will thank yourself for this in the future, and you are also going to be building a solid network around you of people who are totally okay and respectful to your no. This is just a short message that I wanted to bring with you. I hope that it's been helpful, and thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again in one of the next videos.